Imagine this. You wake up in the morning and take a look at everything around you. Your smartphone, your charger, your watch, your shoes. Even many of the small, everyday items in your room have one thing written on them. Made in China. Now pause for a moment. Have you ever wondered why? Why are almost every store, every supermarket, and every online marketplace filled with products made in China? Was China always this rich? No. Just a few decades ago, China was considered one of the poorest countries in the world. Millions of people lived in poverty. Food was scarce. Industries were limited. And many people around the world believed China would never become a major economic power. But then, something happened that changed history. A series of decisions transformed not only China, but also reshaped the global economy. This is the story of how a poor nation became an economic superpower. This is the story of China. Today, when we think about China, the first things that come to mind are skyscrapers, bullet trains, robots, artificial intelligence, and some of the world's largest factories. But around 70 years ago, the picture looked completely different. When the People's Republic of China was established in 1949, the country was recovering from years of war and instability. The economy was weak. Factories were few. Roads were limited. Most people lived in villages and earned very little. At that time, China's biggest challenge was simple: provide food for its people and stabilize the country. The government took control of most industries and major resources. The goal was to build the country through a centrally planned economy. However, as time passed, this system began to face serious economic challenges. Imagine you're a farmer. If you work twice as hard, but receive little or no extra benefit, would you continue working twice as hard every single day? Probably not. This was one of the major problems facing China's economy. Production targets were often set from the top. People worked, but there was limited personal incentive to produce more. As a result, economic growth remained slow. The population continued to grow, but the economy struggled to keep pace. Ordinary families felt the impact. Poverty remained widespread. Opportunities in rural areas were limited. Compared with many developed countries, China was falling behind. While China was struggling, the rest of the world was changing rapidly. Japan was becoming an industrial powerhouse. South Korea was building modern factories. Europe and the United States were investing heavily in technology and innovation. Meanwhile, China was still searching for the right path toward economic growth. Its leaders realized that if nothing changed, the country would fall even further behind. That realization marked the beginning of a new way of thinking. Then came a year that many economists consider the turning point in China's modern economic history. The government began introducing a series of economic reforms. The goal was clear: increase production, attract investment, and create more economic opportunities. Agricultural policies were gradually reformed. Farmers were allowed to sell extra produce beyond their required quotas. Private businesses slowly began to emerge in selected areas. Most importantly, China started opening its doors to foreign investment. These reforms did not happen overnight. They were introduced gradually, step by step, allowing the country to adapt while continuing to grow. China then launched another bold experiment. It created special economic zones, often called SEZs. These regions operated under more business-friendly policies designed to attract investment. Foreign companies were encouraged to build factories there. The goal was to bring in new technology, create jobs, boost exports, and learn from international businesses. At first, many people doubted whether this experiment would succeed, but within a few years, the results became impossible to ignore. Small fishing towns began transforming into major industrial cities. The foundation of modern China's manufacturing economy had been laid. As China's economy opened up, global companies began paying attention. They noticed several important advantages. China had a massive workforce. Infrastructure was improving rapidly. Ports were expanding. Road networks were growing. And the government was investing heavily in export-driven industries. One by one, international companies started manufacturing their products in China. Slowly, China's image began to change. It was no longer just another developing country. It was becoming the world's next manufacturing giant. Every new factory created new jobs. Millions of people moved from villages to cities. Their incomes began to rise. Families enjoyed a better standard of living. Parents could spend more on education. Small businesses started growing. For the first time in decades, China's economy was gaining real momentum. But this was only the beginning. China had not yet become the world's factory. It had not yet become an export powerhouse worth trillions of dollars. Its famous high-speed rail network was still years away. Its technology giants had not yet emerged. And most importantly, China had not yet become the world's second-largest economy. So, how did all of that happen? The 1980s had begun. China was changing. But the biggest transformation was still ahead, thousands of miles away. Major companies in the United States, Japan, and Europe were facing a new challenge. Manufacturing products in their own countries was becoming increasingly expensive. Labor costs were rising. Production expenses kept climbing year after year. If this trend continued, their products would become more expensive too. They needed a country where they could manufacture high-quality products at a much lower cost. And that's when their attention turned to China. China didn't have vast reserves of gold. It wasn't rich in oil either, but it had something far more valuable than any natural resource. It had a massive workforce. Hundreds of millions of people were ready to work. The government was building new roads for industries. Ports were being expanded. The power supply was becoming more reliable. Foreign investors were being encouraged to invest. Seeing all of this, companies around the world realized one thing. This was where the factories of the future would be built. It all started with just a handful of companies. They built small factories in China. Production began. Goods were shipped overseas. The business proved successful. Then more companies arrived. And then even more. Before long, many Chinese cities had transformed into massive industrial hubs. Places that were once farmland were now filled with factories. Narrow roads had turned into wide highways. Machines ran day and night. Cargo ships left Chinese ports carrying products to countries across the globe. This was the moment when the Made in China story truly began to accelerate. Slowly but surely, smartphones, televisions, toys, shoes, clothing, computers, furniture, even the smallest everyday household items, started being manufactured in China. If you walked into a store, there was a good chance many of the products on the shelves were made in China. If you ordered something online, there was an even greater chance it had been manufactured there. Within just a few decades, Made in China became much more than a label. It became a symbol of global manufacturing and one of the defining forces of the modern world economy.